And now it's time for the real estate debate, where we debate the hottest topics in San Diego real estate. Let's welcome today's guests. Guest number 1, Benny Charles, broker for Sea Realty. Guest number 2, Joseph Arendsen, CEO of the Arendsen Group. Guest number 3, Sonia Azizi, team leader of Team Azizi at Whissel Realty. And guest number 4, Danny Davis, broker owner, Danny Davis Real Estate.
All right, here we are. It's time for the Real Estate Debate January 2017. We have 4 great guests joining us today on set and 2 fantastic topics, one for sellers and one for buyers. Let's jump right into the action. Please tell us whether you agree or disagree. Sonia, we're going to be starting with you.
Yay!
Yes! Welcome!
It's exciting, thank you.
Put you right on the hot seat. Topic number 1 is for sellers. The real estate market is showing signs that we may be near the top. It would be wise to sell now if you plan to do so in the next couple of years. Otherwise, you're taking a risk that the market might turn over and cost you some serious cash. Agree or disagree, and why?
Agree. I know right now it's a good time to sell because we have no inventory. It's really low. And we have a lot of buyers and not enough homes, of course. So what's happening right now is we're overbidding and removing contingencies. Just in case the appraisal doesn't come in, we want to be aggressive. So I've had properties where I'm putting $20,000, $30,000 above their asking. So it's a great time to sell, absolutely. And if you're planning on selling in 2 years anyway, why wait? We know right now this is the best time to sell because you're getting over asking. So we can't tell the future. You know, we don't have a crystal ball, but we do know what's going on right now, and we have no inventory, and we can sell your house at the right price. So why wait?
So what you're saying is basically bird in hand versus 2 in the bush. You know, right now is a good time, but I don't know what 2 years will look like.
I don't know what 2 years are going to look like, but I'd love to sell your house now and above asking. So absolutely, I have plenty of buyers.
That's true.
Yes.
Danny Davis.
Yes, sir.
What's up, man? What do you think? Agree? Disagree?
You know what? I agree somewhat. So we all know that the market is cyclical, right? We're at the upper end of the market right now. Is it still going to continue to go up? It may somewhat, but you can't get greedy in this market, right? Because people got greedy when the market bust in like 2006.
Correct.
And they decided not to sell. They wanted it to go up a little bit more, and they didn't. And then I equate it to chasing a ball downhill. Once that bubble burst, the market started going down and sellers started to have to reduce their price. What I'm seeing in my market right now is that you're getting a little bit more inventory and the time on the market is getting to be a little bit longer. So now buyers are having a little more option. To me, if you're thinking about selling, I would sell while it's hot, not get greedy, and just come up with a game plan for buying another property.
That's my biggest concern that you just brought up, is that sellers are being greedy. When we say greedy, meaning that they're waiting. They're saying, oh, well, I do want to sell, but I'm not selling because I want to make that money.
Right.
And I'm getting paid to wait, so I may as well just wait.
Right.
Which is an issue, because if everyone does that, then we sort of artificially drive up the market. And then when everyone says, oh, it stopped going up, let's all put our homes on the market, now we have a flood of inventory, and that causes the prices to go down. So that's what I'm concerned about, is that it's gone up so much in such a short period of time and has been so consistent with no ups and no downs, just all ups.
Right.
That could be an issue.
But when you see a house on the market and you start to see a little bit more market time and you start seeing that with multiple homes, as a seller, you have to gauge your competition. You know, if there's no inventory, it's supply and demand. If there's no supply but there's a ton of demand, sell. If you're starting to see a little bit more supply than you do demand, then you know you've already missed that curve a little bit.
Gotcha. Joseph Arendsen, what's up, man? What do you think?
How you doing?
I disagree.
So I agree with everything that they just said. Hands down, if your only goal is to sell for top dollar, take your money and run, kind of, go for it. However, the situation we're running into is I have some clients who, they took advantage of the market back in 2006 and they sold at the peak, and it was, a staggering, fall, and they were able to capitalize on that. However, we're not going to see that again. We're not going to see the market take that big fall. And, right now, if, say, that client that I'm thinking of, if he were to sell, he would have to go rent something, and rents are really high right now. And it's actually more expensive for him to go rent than what he's paying on his mortgage that he bought in 2010. So, with that, I guess it's a case-by-case basis. Absolutely, if you're running off to going back east somewhere more affordable, you can cash out and buy something cash.
Yeah.
Go for it. Or downsize into something and have a larger payment. go for it. But if your goal is to just capitalize on market, stick around in San Diego, and wait for the market to crash, I just don't see it happening.
Okay, I see. So what you're saying is, don't time the market thinking this is the top and you'll be able to buy cheaper next year or the year after that.
Yep.
But if you do plan to displace, if you're planning on going somewhere else, or if you're planning on getting into a rental because you know you will be eventually going somewhere else, then it makes sense to take the money and run.
It does. It does. It really does. And it's a case-by-case basis.
Do you feel like you're in the weeds a little bit?
Yeah.
Put you in the
Welcome to the
At
jungle.
least the cameras are all right.
Hey man, it's like Jill's in the weeds. I really feel like we're hunting here.
Hiding behind them over here.
Benny Charles.
Yes, sir.
What do you think about this particular topic, my friend? I know your area, for the most part, Escondido area. This is an area that's really exploded over the past couple of years. How do you feel about this topic?
I agree with what they're saying. I consider it kind of like extra innings in baseball. How far does extra innings go?
That's a great analogy.
That's we're 100% extra innings right now. Market's at the top, keep on going. Someone can hit a grand slam and end it right there.
Yeah.
So my rule is, like for my personal investments, I'd much rather sell 6 months early. I'm sorry, 1 year early, rather than 6 months too late. That's my golden rule.
Yeah. Well, you can't sell too early, right? You can only sell too
Yeah,
late.
you can only sell too late.
Like in anything, where you're selling your business or anything like that. I mean, if you sell too early, you might be like, I missed out on a few bucks. If you sell too late, you might be like, I'm screwed. That's what I don't want to see happen. That's my main thing right now.
And the only way that you know that you've sold too late is on past data, right? So you're trying to gauge the market, and the market's cyclical. You know, sometimes it's little tremors, but if the market's going down, you know that because of past data, which means your house has gone down as well.
You're late.
You're late.
Yeah.
Right?
No, you're late until it's too late.
Right.
I don't know. I don't think the market's going to go down the way it did before. I don't believe that. I think that maybe the interest rates went up a little bit just because we could stop it from going up too, because it was going up too fast. So the interest rates went up a little bit. I think it's just like we're going to just slow down. And again, everybody's freaking out about interest rates, but it's not that bad.
Right.
It's
Yep.
still at 4%, 4.5%. That's still okay. So to me, I think, I mean, if you want to just plan on selling, that's the topic. If you just want to sell, we do it now and get more for your house. But I don't think that it's going to go down drastically in the next 2 years. I think.
We didn't think that would happen last time
but
either.
I mean, last time
Well-
we saw what happened. You got a bunch of unqualified people buying homes, you know, at 6.5 interest only, negative arms. It's different now. These are all qualified people. I mean, yes, it's 3.5% down. We're looking at their pay stubs. We're looking at their W-2s. It's not the way it was where you just sign something and pretend, you know, you can qualify for something and you couldn't, especially with those negative arms.
Yeah.
So I think it's a little bit different now. I don't think it's going to go down that crazy amount, but I think it's always going to be great to buy. What's your alternative?
You're going to
That's the
see.
thing.
You're going to
What's
see
your alternative?
smaller
You going to rent?
cycles.
That's
You're going
the
to
thing.
rent, you know?
That's the big thing that's helping this market right now. If it
Yeah.
wasn't for that, rents being so high.
Yeah.
'Cause we didn't have that last time. Last time you couldn't rent your house, you couldn't give it away.
Right.
Right.
But now we don't have that issue anymore.
Actually, I saw that stat. In 2006, our average rent was about $1,400 for your 2-bedroom, 2-bath, you know, grade A home
Yeah.
or a townhome. We're up to like $1,800, $1,900 for that same. So you can't just turn around and go rent a place and
Save
Yeah.
money.
2,500, you know?
Yeah,
exactly.
2,500 for
That's
a
that's the
bedroom.
base.
Yeah, I don't know where that
That's the base.
$1,800 deal
Okay,
is.
okay, okay.
Holler at your boy.
It's completely different than where it was.
And
I
in
know
San Diego,
your rent
guys.
isn't $1,800.
No.
My rent's not $1,800.
No, you live in
Anybody else have
California.
rent that's $1,800?
But what we're getting into though too is, well, we're talking about, yeah, it's a good time to sell. But when those buyers sell, they're not going to go rent because that's not smart. So they're going to have to go buy something. And are they buying at the peak of the market too? And what's the repercussions of that?
There is
That's
that.
what
I
I'm
mean, you
running
can,
into a
no
lot.
matter what. I mean, yes, you're gonna get some money out of here, but if you want to move up, that's okay. You take your money and take it somewhere else. I mean, what are you gonna do even if the market goes down?
I agree with you, but with the
Then
lack
your house goes down, and then the other property
but
is
with
down,
the
so you
lack of
still
inventory,
lose.
they're having a hard time finding a replacement property.
It
That's
just
what I'm running
depends,
into.
like, yeah, that's true, but it just depends. If they're moving up, I'm like, the average price right now is like, what, like 600? FHA, VA, everything's up to 612, 950. So if you, I mean, the average, I mean, they're moving up, obviously. So if they're moving up, I think it's a little bit better. I mean, what I'm seeing, depending on where you go, if you're looking at $800,000-$900,000 houses versus, you know, the median price, which is, you know, with 600.
Right.
So if they're moving up, I think it's okay because it's a little bit more inventory and it's just not that much competition. Because you guys know, and I know, anything under 600,000 is just like
Off the
10
shelves.
offers. It's crazy.
Off the shelves, yeah.
So it just depends. Every situation's a little bit different.
Right.
Yeah.
Good question. Sonia's very, very passionate.
Boy, and
Yeah.
if you're-
Oh, sorry.
if you're a buyer-
She's screaming at you.
Am I
All of
screaming?
us.
I have a lot of boys here, so I gotta make a point here.
She's representing women in real estate.
Right.
Very well, I will tell you that. It's like there's
Feel the
three or
power.
four over here.
If you're a buyer and you're approved to 800,000, you don't have to spend 800,000.
Right.
You can find a nice house for 650.
Right.
And even if the market crashes a little bit, it's still, depending on how much money you put down, still affordable payment.
Yeah.
So
If you're buying in this market, it's okay. Just make sure everything's very affordable and comfortable.
there it
Well,
is.
yeah, on a case-by-case basis, because if you're planning on buying a property and living there for 2 years, then it's a little bit more risky. But if you're going to live there for 10, 20 years, who cares what
Doesn't
the
matter.
market is doing?
Exactly.
You know,
And
you just have to
again,
be smart
buyer,
when you're going to
yeah,
sell.
you're right. Buyers are not investors, guys.
Right.
These guys are buying for their future.
Right.
So
And it kind of touches base on what I was talking about. I mean, if you're looking at an investor standpoint, which what you said, of course you want to time the market and try
Yeah.
to sell at the
Yes.
top.
Yeah.
But as an individual purchasing your primary residence, I mean, find a place you feel comfortable with. As long as it's gonna be a long-term hold for you. I mean, you're gonna see appreciation over time.
Right.
Yeah.
If you have a 10-year time horizon, you have to worry about the market at all.
Exactly.
All right, jumping into topic number 2. Speaking of buyers, buyers are in a really tough spot now with rates having gone up and pricing as high as they've ever been. And prices, I should say, not pricing. Prices as high as they've ever been. What's the good news for buyers in this market? We'll go on the other side, Benny.
Oh, what's the good news?
Good news for buyers. Jay.
you want me to take it?
Rates are so low. Even though they say rates are high, rates are so low. 30-year low. Okay, you get a home you can afford. You're there. You stay there. You're gonna be okay. You're competing with a lot of people. That's not the best. That's not good news. But that's pretty much it. You know, that's what I would say.
Rates still low.
Interest rates are still low, which is a great point. However, people have to understand it's real estate does run in cycles, and if you look back in 1980 and 1990 when we had those peaks, and then even in 2000, you know, we saw very consistent growth. You know, 15-20% growth over peak. And then we had what happened from 2000 to 2005, which was, you know, we got to that peak of 2000, and then all of a sudden here come the subprime loans, and it just blew the market, you know, into craziness. And so that set a new high for us. Now, if you continue and know that we're not going to see something like that happen again, you're going to know that as long as you're holding on to that property for 10, 15 years, and that is your primary residence, you're going to see equity built over time. Plus you get the, you know, tax benefits, you know, the inflation kind of insurance there. And there's just a lot of benefits there.
Okay.
So as long as you plan on staying there, buy smart, put yourself into a mortgage payment that makes sense for you. I mean, it's a great time to buy.
So
It
you're saying,
makes sense. And that's the key word right there.
Yeah.
yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah, and what you're saying, I think, is that you know, the big bubble has already been burst. We've already, you know, that damage has sort of already been done.
Yep.
That's
we
still
won't
in the
see
back
that
of
again.
everybody's mind.
It is,
Yeah.
it is, but it would seem as though that would not be possible based on things that have taken place since then. The way
Right.
the loans have changed, Financial Protection Bureau, things like that, that have come in and reworked it so that that shouldn't ever happen again.
Well, we actually have lending guidelines now.
Yeah.
Where before, I mean,
Yeah.
it was like,
Underwriting.
sign here, you
Underwriting.
sign here, how much do you want?
Yeah.
We
No,
have,
I mean-
we have underwriting.
Yeah, exactly.
Danny, any other good news for buyers in the market?
You know, the rates, obviously, like we've stated, but I'm starting to see a little bit more market time. So if you have the capability to be picky, if there's a house that comes on the market and it's a hot property and they've got 10 offers on it, that may not be the house for you. So if you've got the patience, if you've got the time to sit down and wait to find a house that maybe sits on the market for 30 to 60 days, and then you write an offer on it, and it's the one you like, and you can you're starting to be able to negotiate with the seller a little bit more now. Whereas before, you couldn't. It was like, here's a full price offer, and please accept us. I know we're 10% down, and you got a 20% down offer. You know, it's like you try. Here's a letter. Here's our picture of us with our family. We want to call your house our home type thing. Anything that you can do to get your buyer that property, you would do. But with the market time occurring a little bit more now, the buyers are having a little bit more of an option if they have the patience to wait.
Yeah, patience. Okay.
That's what it comes down to.
Okay.
I mean-
Sonia, good news for buyers.
I mean, I think it's great news for buyers. They can hire me as their agent. I'm kidding. But, you know, yes, Benny's right, everybody's right. Interest rates are still okay. But if you wait too long, what if interest rates go up a little bit higher, you know, and it's just, it depends, like if you're in that 600 range, that could hurt them a little bit. Even if it's a half a point, which is still not a lot, then they can't afford that $600,000 house because it could, you know, take their payments by $200. So, but right now it's still a good time. There's still properties on the market. I think it's just January. A lot of people, you know, haven't listed their house or they're waiting. I think there's going to be things coming up, you know, because we had a lot of expireds, you know, last year that's not relisting. So, I mean, I think things are going to come up. I mean, we've had a few hundred, you know, properties that listed, you know, in the last couple of weeks. So there's, you know, there's a chance that you could still get into something. Don't freak out, but absolutely buy something right now because it's always going to be a good investment. Again, what's your alternative? Yeah. You know, you're going to pay $3,000, $4,000 in rent, or lock in your investment for the next 30 years and be those guys that are renting the house to you. Have somebody pay off your investment. Right. So I think it's a great time, anytime to buy, especially if you're a buyer, not an investor.
So I have two things I want to add to this conversation, things that are good for buyers. First of all, interest rates are always in favor of the buyer, always. Because if you lock in today, let's say it's 4.5%, and rates go down, then you can refinance into the lower rate.
Exactly.
If rates go up, then congratulations, you just locked in a rate that no one can get anymore. Right. So it's always, rates are fine. The other thing, and probably the most important thing right now, I think, for buyers to understand is that the rent versus own calculators have really started, you know, tipping strongly in the buy favor. Yep. When you look back, even just 5 years ago, when prices were down, you still didn't quite have that, but because rents have accelerated more quickly than prices, and rates are still really low, the rent versus own calculations is way favoring, you know, the own side. A lot more so than it ever has, than I've ever seen. I mean, there are a lot of people right now who can actually buy a home and get into it, even with prices being up where they are, for less than what they're paying rent. Right. And that never happened in San Diego in the past. You used to have to factor in tax advantages and all these things to get the rent versus own to look right.
But you still can to make it look even better. I mean, renting, you're kind of throwing your money away and you're not getting any write-off. You know.
What's the average rent? $3,000, say, for
a single family.
Yeah, for a single family home, $3,000.
Even if it's a townhome.
A year's time, you know, $36,000, 4 years. I mean, come on, guys, that's a lot of money.
I mean, worst case scenario, like.
Plus, you don't get the write-off.
Hands down.
The interest rate on a rental is 100%.
It's what? 100%? What is 100%?
The interest rate on a rental.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, and again, if something happens and you guys have to move out and get into something bigger, rent it out. Yeah, you know, it's 3.5%. Buy another property, save up 3.5% in the next 5-7 years.
We only have so much land in San Diego.
Yeah.
So buy your next one, hold it, rent it out. Just keep buying properties.
Absolutely.
We're always going to see increase in values over time. So.
See, lots of good news for buyers.
Lots of good news.
Guys, I would say great news for sellers right now.
Absolutely.
Great news. This is your opportunity if you're a seller
Don't
right
now.
This is your chance. This is what you've been waiting for. You've been waiting for this moment right now where you can just go, you are all my you know what. And then you can dictate terms. And people are getting so much money. Some of these houses are selling for prices I'm just like, oh my gosh. But that's the kind of demand that's out there. So sellers, it is your time. Buyers, maybe a little patience will help you out, but you always win the interest rate game, the way refinancing works. And if rates do go way up, then you'll really wish that you would have already purchased. So guys, thank you all so much for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Fantastic real estate debate with an awesome crew. And of course, we will be back again. Actually, we're going to do it earlier next month, the real estate debate. So check out the Facebook page for details, and we will see you then.